Hello, my Funatics, it's Fufu here, and welcome to my Week 1 team builder for GBA Season 6. And this week, Mewcastle United is facing off against the New Orleans Pelippers, coached by a very good friend of mine, John, aka Pokemen. You guys should have all heard of him before because he's been in many seasons of the GBA, and I've known him for the longest time, and I haven't battled him in so long, so this is going to be very interesting. But yeah, we'll get into the team builder right now. So yeah, there were a few things that I wanted to see on his team. I'll show his team on screen. There are a number of things that are pretty scary. The first thing that I wanted to do was pick an offensive threat that could try to take apart his team very, very well. I thought that Dragon Spam probably wasn't the best idea in this one because he does have Latias, which is a very fast dragon that can actually be a bit of a threat to my dragon types. But I thought that one dragon type would be specifically very good, and that is Cold Turkey here, my Kyurem. I thought that Kyurem would be great just because of its special power. His only fairy type is a Gramble, so that's his only thing that's immune to dragon types, and Gramble does not have brilliant special bulk. So if I hit that thing with a Life Orb Ice Beam, that's going to do a lot of damage. The only other thing that's going to be taking Dracos very well is an Escavalier, and so that's why I've got Hidden Power Fire on there, because I can hit that very hard. So other potential switch-ins are Assault Vest users like Reuniclus, but even then, Draco does do a lot of damage, so that's good, and I can try and pressure it in other ways. And also things like Umbreon, just because it is so bulky. But Umbreon I'm not actually very scared of. It's potentially set-up opportunity for me, so I don't mind if I'm not doing huge damage to that. I had the option of running Focus Blast, but I actually opted to run Substitute because that gives me a lot of momentum potentially. There are a number of things that I can set substitutes on, so things like Rotom Cut and Gastrodon, and there was another thing that slips my mind. Things that I threaten out as well. So maybe if Lando is scared out by the Ice Beam, then I can set up a sub and deal with that appropriately. I do need to bear in mind, though, that it is an Ice type, so it's weak to rocks, and also is taking Life Orb damage, so setting up substitutes, I need to be aware of my HP and that I'm not just whittling it away. I need to, just be a bit savvy about that. So that's Kyurem. It really does have the potential to really hurt John's team, which is what the aim of this whole thing is. Now, this can be quite easily revenged by two things. The most scary of which is definitely Megalopunny. Megalopunny is a very scary Pokemon. I think it's... for me, it's a toss-up between that and Manaphy as the best Pokemon in the format. So it's like super, super good, and I'm very scared of it. And the thing that I'm bringing, one of the things that I'm bringing that can do something to it, and the thing that will be probably its dedicated switch-in, is Soggy Doggy the Suicune. This thing is very defensive, and I've given it the Rocky Helmet, because I feel like Rocky Helmet is one of the best ways to beat Lopunnies, because you can whittle them very easily. If they're going for fake outs and things like that, I can definitely get the Rocky Helmet damage on, and it doesn't 2-hit KO Suicune with a high jump kick or anything like that, so that's good. I can threaten it with the Scald. It should break any Lopunny subs unless he's got a lot of HP investment, so that's okay. I'm running Toxic on here because he does have a Gastrodon, and I don't want to be letting it have free switches in and getting like Storm Drain boosts, so I want to Toxic Gastrodon if possible. That would be really helpful. Again, if Umbreon does come with a Heal Bell or maybe Gramble, both of those things I'm not too concerned about. I can deal with them and use them to set up and things, so I'm not too worried about that, so hopefully that will be okay. So that's Soggy Doggy. My next thing is going to be Rizzy Stardust, the Virizion. This thing is what I'm hoping to be able to set up on a lot of things with. It's fast, its speed is very good. It allows me to run it Adamant this week, so it's going to be a physical set. I've got the Lumberry there so that I can switch in on things like Umbreon and Gastrodon without worrying about being statused, at least for the first time. So Umbreon can carry Toxic and probably would go for it if he was predicting the justified Virizion being a switch-in, because obviously he doesn't want to go for the Dark-type move to give me the boost. So I'll be able to heal that off and then substitute the following turn to be able to capitalise on the Umbreon. And then Yeah, for the Gastrodon, I would worry about Scald Burns, but I don't have to worry about that if I've got the Lumberry. I would like lefties on the substitute set, but this is fine. This should work okay. And if I can get the substitute off, I mean, Gastrodon can carry Ice Beam, but obviously it's then running the risk of being hit by a Grass-type move, so I think I will be forcing it out anyway. Other things as well, I outspeed Landorus, and most of the moves that Landorus likes to carry, like ground type moves, rock type moves, and knockoff. That I resist all of those, so I can potentially set up substitutes on him as well, and maybe set up on him. So yeah, Leaf Blade and Close Combat were the stabs that I went with. Close Combat hits things pretty hard. Leaf Blade is there just for other coverage. I'm going to have a hard time with the two Psychic types for Reuniclus just because it's so bulky, and Latios because it resists both of my stabs, but it still takes a decent amount of damage. It does outspeed though, so I need to bear that in mind. And then obviously Lopunny again outspeeds this, so I want to have dealt some damage or hopefully have a sub up so I can just get a Close Combat off against it. So that's the thing, but I do have my switch in with Suicune with Latios, and my switch in for, oh no, that's for Lopunny. For Latios, that is going to be Klefki here. I've gone specially defensive because if I don't go specially defensive and he runs HP Fire, then that's going to really, really hurt me. And Earthquake could be a thing which would actually 2-hit KO, but I have Magnet Rise, so that should be okay. Foul Play does a lot of damage to Latios. I won't Foul Play because he might see things like Landorus and as a switch in because it can take the Thunder Wave. Also Escavalier just because it doesn't matter being paralyzed and it can take my stabs very well. So Foul Play would hit them a bit harder. What I do think would be a switch in would be Gastrodon, but as I've said, I've got things. I'm not too worried about Gastrodon. Both Suicune and Virizion can deal with that relatively well, and maybe even Kyurem to an extent. I don't think that its moves will be breaking my subs very easily. And yeah, I've gone with Spikes as a hazard just to pressure things like the Gastrodon, and maybe some of the bulkier things like Escavalier as well that could well be coming. He does have a number of things that are floating in the air, like Rotom Cut and Latios and Landorus, but if I can just get chip damage on those things, and also Lopunny, just getting chip damage on Lopunny is really important because you're not necessarily going to be able to hit it very easily. It's so fast, so it'll be outspeeding and KOing Mons potentially, and then he could just switch it out if it's going to take an attack. So that was the plan, getting Spikes chip damage and getting Rocky Helmet chip damage on the Lopunny. So that is the key to success. This is my Klefki. It can punish the fast things as well with Thunder Wave, which is nice. So the next thing is going to be Beignet. I need this thing for Reuniclus, and I need to play it well because if this thing goes down, I don't have too much to hit Reuniclus very hard with. I've got my Life Orb Dracos from Kyurem, but it depends on his Reuniclus set. If he brings an AV Reuniclus, I need to be careful of that. I will be able to hit that very hard with the Shadow Claw, but if this goes down, then I won't have much to hit it with. So Shadow Claw is there for immediate damage for Reuniclus. I've got Shadow Sneak to hit Latios, and then Pursuit to try and catch them, either one of them, on the switch. I need to be careful with that. Latios will be able to pretty much OHKO me with a Life Orb Draco. But I need to be careful. But John could well be worried about the Sucker Punch. So him switching is definitely a possibility. Whether he sees Pursuit coming or not, I'm not really sure. I don't think people necessarily are very aware of Pursuit on Beignet. I thought that Beignet would be a better option than Crocodile because Crocodile, you see the Pursuit coming a mile off, and also he's got things that can revenge it a bit easier, like Lopunny would be able to revenge Crocodile very easily. I don't really want to give it free switches. This thing threatens it a bit more with the Will-O-Wisp, so that's good. And also Destiny Bond, although I'm actually not carrying it this week. I felt like the 3 attacks were really important, and then the final slot was either Will-O-Wisp or Destiny Bond. I've gone with Will-O-Wisp because I feel like John will be playing around Destiny Bond. He'll try to state as my Beignet, I would have thought. I don't really know how John's going to play around Beignet. That's the thing. Beignet is all about mind games, and and predictions, and you can get it wrong or right, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I've gone with Will-O-Wisp because burning his team is generally very good. The only thing that doesn't really mind a burn is Reuniclus, and that's not going to be switching in on a Beignet, so that's why I went with Will-O-Wisp. And yeah, just a very powerful set. We've got Frisk on here as well as the ability, which is a very useful ability. It'll be able to let me know if things like Escavalier have an Ockerberry, or like the Grassberry for Gastrodon, which the name has slipped my mind, but I know that it could carry that, and that would let me know for Virizion, so that would be useful. Yeah, so that's the Beignet that I'm bringing this time rather than Crocodile, and it's really important for Reuniclus. Reuniclus is actually a huge threat. As I say, I don't have too much to hit it with. If it's a Carmine set, I'm very scared. And Destiny Bond may have been the better option, but then John knows to store Destiny Bond PP, so it's really hard to know what to do. But anyway, my final Pokemon is Mew. It's kind of a stall-breaking Mew, but kind of not as well. So what we've got on here is Flamethrower as the only attack. I want that to be able to catch things like Bisharp, do a lot of damage to that. I do have the Colbur Berry, so I should be able to take it on relatively well. And also for Escavalier, which might think that this is I don't think that it would think that Mew's a good thing to switch in on, but just in case I can catch the Escavalier, Flamethrower does good damage. And it's basically a good catch-all. The only thing that it's not brilliant for, I mean, Gastrodon, but I can beat Gastrodon with Taunt Wisp, and also the Reuniclus. I would rather have a Shadow Ball or a Dark Pulse for Reuniclus, but I can't because I can't let Lopunny set up substitutes for free, and that's why the 28 special attack EVs are there, because I need Flamethrower to be able to break Lopunny's substitutes, and that's going for a Lopunny that's speed creeping a Crobat and the rest, and speed creeping Crobat, max attack, the rest in HP. This Flamethrower will break that sub, so hopefully that's enough. I do have Taunt on here to stop recover or things like, so it stops Umbreon from recovering up, it stops Gastrodon from recovering up, it stops Reuniclus from recovering up. I've got Wisp on there to cripple some of the scary physical attackers that he's got. Wisp is really good against the team apart from Reuniclus. I keep saying that, but yeah. And Roost just to keep myself healthy. And I've just gone with special defense. The speed is there to outspeed. What's it there to outspeed? 135, I think, is Landorus. I'll just check because that's what. No, it's not Landorus. 135 is Bisharp. That's what I'm outspeeding for the Flamethrower and the Will-O-Wisp. So that's the team. I am very scared of the main two things are Reuniclus and Lopunny. Sub Lopunny was a big thing that I was worried about, but I do have the Rocky Helmet Suicune, so hopefully with sub damage and Rocky Helmet and maybe some spike switch-ins, I will be able to whittle that thing down so I can kill it. In terms of Reuniclus, it's very scary, and I don't really have great ways to deal with it. At least Mew can switch in. It doesn't take too much damage, but it can't do too much either. I can try and prevent it from recovering. It does depend what set John brings. I know that he likes Regenerator. If that's the case, then I can Wisp it and try and get some whittle damage on that way. But yeah, if it's Magic Guard, that's going to be really hard to take down. Magic Guard Carmine is probably the scariest set that John could bring because I need my Beignet to get off huge damage. You know what? You know what's really important that I've just thought about? This has a high critical hit ratio, so we might be banking on that because Shadow Claw, I think with Shadow Claw against a defensive Beignet with a crit, I might be able to OHKO it. I don't get OHKO'd by a +1 Shadow Ball though on an uninvested Reuniclus, so that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, and what it might mean is I can get a Shadow Claw off and then go for a Pursuit the following turn, as he might want to try and switch out or recover or something, and I'll be able to get some damage off that way. So that's what I'm thinking. That is Mewcastle United Week 1. That's our team builder. I'm actually not feeling super confident because I've just come off the PPL and I had an amazing draft there. I've gone a bit more experimental this time, and it does rely much more on keeping momentum on my side of the field with this team because the Mons aren't as reliable as the ones I had. But it's part of the fun for me. It's giving myself a bit of a challenge. So yeah, I'm hoping that this can pull through. They're all very good Mons. This thing has the chance to do huge work, and I'm very excited for that prospect. I do need to watch out for the Ockerberry on Escavalier though. Ooh, big mouse. Yeah, I need to watch out for that. So trying to catch Escavalier on the switch with the Hidden Power Fire could be very important, because if I can burn its Ockerberry, then I'll be able to KO the following turn with another Hidden Power Fire. Anyways, yeah, that's all for today. I hope that was interesting, and we will see how everything goes against John. John is a great battler, a great friend, so please subscribe to his channel. You'll probably be able to see his team builder up very soon. All that's left to be said is, I've been foofootoo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.